Hi everyone, I'm Naila and this is Untempered. Welcome back. I am going to jump into the next episode, but first I decided to film this to give you 3 reasons why you need to watch this episode all the way to the end. I always like to look at things differently and come in from a different angle and try to approach things in a way where we can actually be self-aware and reflect about the things that we are doing that are culprits to the situations that we're in. So in this episode, I brought on Richard Grannon so we can talk about the actual things that we need to learn in order to stay away from relationships like this. The 3 reasons you need to watch this episode is because, first of all, we don't just talk about them, because you can definitely find a lot of content talking about narcissists, and you can definitely be able to become a wizard in finding out who's a narcissist and who's not. But is that going to benefit you? Is that going to keep you away from relationships with them? Second reason is my guest today is Richard Grannon. He's a CPTSD coach, and he's one of the most respected voices in the narcissism movement and in trauma psychology. So, also, I don't know if you know Richard, but he doesn't really sugarcoat things. He doesn't hold back, and he's extremely outspoken in a way what we need in order to be able to be direct and honest with ourselves. That's exactly what we need. We need someone to be direct and honest with us. Reason number 3 is because this conversation is going to go deep and challenge you in every way possible, and challenge you in why you stayed, challenge you why you're still thinking about them, and challenge you in why you keep attracting people like that. So we're going to dive deep into the psychology of self-betrayal, trauma bonding, and we're going to actually talk about the path forward and not just a theory. So I know this is not going to be easy to hear, and frankly, none of us really want to do that kind of work because it requires us to confront uncomfortable truths within us and to take complete responsibility in how we contributed into a massively abusive relationship. Now, this is not victim blaming, and maybe you might not even see yourself as a victim. You might actually listen to this conversation and realize the roles that played in this part were so important to understand, especially your part. So if you want to know what patterns you're running, what wounds you're protecting, what is it about you that could have possibly broadcasted that signal, this episode is for you. And I'm so glad you're here because it truly means that you're taking a huge step in being responsible and self-reflecting. This is my episode with Richard Grannon. Richard, you talk about something called the toxic superego, which I think some people might not know, so you can elaborate on this, but I'm going to just say what my understanding is. It's that brutal internal voice in our head that basically tears us apart, and it's maybe the one that plays a part in saying, you're not good enough, you always mess up. What is happening in the mind of the codependent when this voice is playing? Where does it come from? And is it that voice that plays a huge part in us attracting relationships like this?
So we have inside of our minds in the unconscious a kind of an onboard command center. It functions like a conscience, like a morality, and it tells us what we need to do in order to qualify as good people. And it's programmed mostly in childhood and a little bit in adolescence. It gives you your rules for living by, and it tells you what you can do, what you can't do, what you deserve, what you don't deserve, and it largely, it's a judge. It judges us. It judges our behavior, and it controls our behavior. In that sense, it functions like an internalized parent, which means that most of its core programming comes from our primary caregivers. It comes from our parents. So if our parents' love was highly conditional and intermittent and peppered with abuse and tyranny, then the onboard command center, which is more properly called the superego, is going to direct us in that direction. And it causes us to co-create relationships that are an echo of the relationships that we knew in our formative years when our neuroplasticity was at its height.
We also know that narcissists are created from having one part of the reason why they are who they are is because they also have had conditional love. Do they also have a toxic superego?
Very much so, yes. You could argue, though we would colloquially describe narcissists as being egomaniacs. I mean, technically, from another point of view, if you're a psychoanalytic engineer or architect, you'd say, actually, there isn't really much of an ego there at all. The ego is kind of shattered. it's mainly just superego. It's mainly just this overwhelming tyrannical command center. We hear a lot in CPTSD about the inner critic, which comes from the toxic superego, the toxified, damaged command center. We don't hear as much about the outer critic. So the narcissist has a very weak, poor ego, a very, very overbearing and overwhelming superego. And instead of being stuck on inner critic, it's mainly stuck on outer critic and criticizing other people. So yes, they do.
So they both have a toxic superego and they both act in a different way.
Yes, essentially. So the codependent target's superego was entrained from childhood to say, I'm to blame, I'm to blame, I'm to blame. And then the toxic superego command center of the narcissist would be, yes, you're to blame, you're to blame, you're to blame. So you both start with this sort of tacit, unconscious agreement that you're the problem and they can never be the problem. You can't do right for doing wrong. They can't do wrong for doing right.
At what point is the narcissist sensing this? Like, do they have, is it like shark to blood? Is it something that they can easily find out? Is it something that the victim is doing that is signaling to them, I'm the perfect person for you to target?
Interesting question. I'm in therapy myself, and I do transactional analysis, and they say that yes, we find the environment, we scan the environment, and we find the perfect abusive partner. I don't know if I believe that 100%, but there certainly seems to be, there must be some truth to it, because why do we find certain types of people sexy and interesting, if we keep it to the romantic relationship realm, and other people who are objectively like better looking or funnier or more intelligent, not as sexy or not as appealing, not as intriguing? So yeah, they're probably right. It's a two-way street. They're attracted to us and we are attracted to them. It's not like there's the superego and then there's a person who's reacting to the superego. The superego has a massive amount of control. It's really just largely speaking, especially when we're discussing intimate relationships, we're talking about very unconscious forces. I know it's kind of weird to think of it that way. But if you get into an intimate relationship with somebody, the you that is you, the Naila that you would recognize as you with your identifiers around your ego, kind of disappears a little bit, and your unconscious shows up, and it's the same for them. The closer we get, the less we're in our adult ego state, and the more we sort of disintegrate back into our preconscious superego command center state. So we start to get down to like the core programming of each other the closer we get, if that makes sense.
It makes sense. And I'm trying to figure out what happened where one person became the self-deprecator, the weakling, and the person who's ready to just be impressionable and be led. And the other person is like, I'm a fucking god. And I got this. I'm going to go through life. I mean, of course, they're insecure as well, but I'm going to go through life using and abusing people. What is the difference? What's the shift? Is it neurological? Is it like something different in their brain? Or why didn't the traumatized Naila, for example, turn into a narcissist that wants to abuse people? Why is she overly empathetic?
Probably because you weren't spoiled enough to maintain a narcissistic, grandiose, delusional shell. If you think about how delusional a grandiose narcissistic shell, which is unquestionably the core of narcissistic personality disorder, you've got to be very, very delusional. Now, if you're getting a lot of negative feedback from the environment, it's keeping you humble. It's keeping you in your place. Even if it's coming from an abusive place, you just can't aspire to that grandiosity. Somebody really has to put that grandiosity into you, or the environment needs to. So I did meet a case of someone from the Balkans who's a pretty major figure in the organized crime world. And I was looking at him and I was going, well, there wasn't really a mother or father there to do this. So who gave him this inflated sense of self? And then I was like, oh no, the streets did. The streets did this. He was always special. He was always had different rules applied to him because he was like the Artful Dodger when he was a kid. And then everybody knew him as, you know, this cheeky, rough hustler and thief. And he was very charming and very good looking and very funny, who got away with these things. So he didn't have boundaries placed upon his natural childlike grandiosity, and so nothing pushed back against the grandiose delusion of the child, and so it just grew and grew and grew. He practiced it for long enough that it became hard set into once the neuroplasticity had set in, the neural pathways were there, and he was grandiose for life, pretty much.
Yeah, and I've experienced this grandiosity, and I realized from experience that there is literally nothing you can say, you can do, you can act like, you can turn into a circus clown and literally perform the way you want them to perform, but there is nothing that could make them understand that they are not this amazing person. So they could hurt you and you say it, you could cry, you could scream, you could go blue in the face, but there's nothing that could penetrate that shell. So at what point is this kind of an addiction?
The term codependent grew out of Alcoholics Anonymous groups and addiction groups. So you had the addict to alcohol, and they were the dependent. And then you had the codependent, who was the person who was facilitating the lifestyle that gave them the access to to continuing their addiction. So the narcissist is addicted to narcissistic supply. They're dependent on narcissistic supply. And the codependent is the co-conspirator in the acquisition of supply, whether it's coming from them or from other people. The addiction side of it, yes, it can seem addictive. I think probably technically it's more entrainment. So the narcissist is entrained to hunt for supply in order to feel normal, in order to feel just calm momentarily, and it is only momentarily. And the codependent is entrained to feed that supply in a tyrannical figure so that their anxiety and superego injunctions are reduced and so that they can feel normal temporarily. So the narcissist feels okay and non-anxious temporarily if they're winning, if they beat someone, if they prove their point, if they won some petty competition that they set up inside of their own mind. The codependent is getting their supply, if you like, codependent supply, when they're effectively being instrumentalized to fulfill the needs of a tyrannical narcissistic person.
What if somebody hasn't done the shadow work, right? They go on a date. What can they scan for? And I don't want to talk about the usual, which is like grandiosity and whatever. Yeah, because I didn't see grandiosity. I didn't see any.
No, fuck all red flags. It's so dangerous to give people lists of red flags. If a person is shadow possessed and they're really, really not individuated, there are people out there that they'll meet who show the red flag that they're hyper vigilant for. That's a perfectly decent person. And then they have their list of green flags and they'll go, oh, I saw 3 green flags, and it's a really, really evil person. We can't reduce the complexity down to cute Instagram posts that people love to consume. Here's my list of red flags. I hate that language. I'm only saying this because it's you, Naila. I'm usually much more gentle with people, but you're a mate of some years. I fucking hate the mediocritization of this subject. And the reason why is it's so dangerous. What it does is it reduces intense psychological abuse that results in physiological damage and shortens people's lives, and it literally kills into this stupid parlor game called Hunt the Narcissist. Anything that has that flavor to it, it makes me want to throw up. I'm like, get it the fuck away from me. I hate that. No red flags, no green flags. If you haven't done the work and you live in the shadows, God help you. You can have the green flags tattooed on your left hand and the red flags tattooed on your right hand. And you can meet Satan himself and you'll be like, all I'm saying is green flags because, and this is, people cite Jung and they love Jung. Oh, I love Jung. They never read Jung. They've never read him. What Jung would say is you're carrying the world inside of you and you're projecting it out and you're experiencing it as though it's happening to you externally, but you are massively influencing what's happening. So you could literally meet the devil himself. He could give you every indication that he's going to be a predator. And if you haven't done any of this work and you're asleep, all the red flags will show up as green for you. That's how powerful we are in terms of being able to delude ourselves. And yeah, I think as I've matured in the field, because it's coming up on, it's 13 years, it's coming up on 14 years for me. I don't mind people talking nonsense, but there's nonsense that's popularized that's literally dangerous, and it's making people more at risk. So what you'll have is a person who feels anxious about narcissistic abuse, and they spend 15 minutes reading a Psychology Today article, 20 minutes consuming Instagram posts, and they'll go, oh, I did my shadow work for the day. I'm good. I'm safe. You're not. You're not safe. If you've been in one of these relationships, you should assume that you are not safe. And you should be looking at a year or two of therapy if you really, really want to avoid it again, where you need to go deep into it. Why would I accept abuse? Why, when I knew I was being abused, did I not just leave and go and find someone else? We're staying in the realm of romantic relationships, not family relationships. And then why, after I did leave, was I still so hooked on them? It's very hard. So there's narcissism, there's a latent narcissism in human beings that stops them from healing. So the codependent, we're not saying demon and angel. We're not saying that. Codependents have a tremendous amount of latent narcissism and latent narcissistic defenses inside of them as well. And I'm speaking as a codependent. And what kept me in the relationships partly is my own latent narcissistic tendencies. People don't want to hear it and they don't like hearing it.
And if I go back inside what you were saying, it's like, why did I let this person back in? And why did I even accept my mother after so much abuse? But I realized I have this obsession with fixing situations, not even people, situations. Like, I must end this story better. I want to fix the story. I don't want this story to end badly. And this turns into just me hanging on to threads that don't even exist.
That's the power of the unconscious. That's the power of the command center that we hold inside of us. And one of the things that helped me in my own therapeutic process, and maybe it will help you in your therapeutic process, is to recognize the narcissism and the desire to change the story.
Yeah,
I don't have that power. I just don't have that power. I'm not God. If that's the story that was written for that person, then that's their story. It's not my story. It's a different person's story. It's like there's a surah from the Quran, Al-Kufran. Your religion is your religion. My religion is my religion. And we can be at peace and go our separate ways. I'm an adult. You're an adult. That's your perspective. This is my perspective. God bless you. God bless you. I ain't for this. I ain't playing this game with you. I don't wish you any harm, but I'm moving in a different direction. Goodbye. There's a humility that has to be embraced in order for the targets of narcissistic abuse to move on. It's really, really sad. It's very, very sad. Tragic even that your mother made you feel like it was your job to save your relationship with her, and that left a mother-shaped hole in your heart that then you wanted to fill with a partner, and you wanted to win the game that you couldn't win in childhood with a partner who acts like your mum, who's a bit of a bellend, who's a bit of a dick. It's tragic. It's sad. Then it's tragic. Now it becomes a catastrophe if you insist on continuing to do this until you're 50, 60 years old. You're still young. You have time and you can get out of this, but you have to say, I'm letting go of this narcissistic impulse in me to change people and to save people. It's not my job. My shit is my shit. Your shit is your shit. If you need a therapist, babe, go and see a therapist. And I've found myself saying that to people. It's very freeing, very, very freeing. They'll come to me and they'll try and drop their problems in my lap, and I'll laugh and I'll go, it sounds like you need to speak to a qualified clinician and pay some money to do that. Because when my friends and my family come to me, they're not looking for help. They're looking for attention. And I'll give them attention, of course. I love them. But when they start to try and turn it into a psychotherapy session, I just smile and say, that sounds like you need to pay for a therapist, because nothing I say is going to go in. And I know that. When I was younger, I'd be like, oh, if I just explain it to them in a really clever, funny way, they'll get it. They won't, because there's no intention in them to get it. What's that song? Don't save her. She don't want to be saved. Don't know who wrote that. Some pop song recently. That runs in my head. They don't want to be saved. They actually just want your attention. They actually just want a bit of narcissistic supply. And that, that's okay, but I'm not playing therapist. And you must have that determination inside of your own heart. These are real boundaries. I am not my mother's mother. If my mother can't be a mother, that's sad. It's tragic. But it would be a catastrophe if I continue to insist that she be something that she can't be, or if I take on the role of mother for her. No, that's an inversion. That's catastrophic. We have to let people do what they're going to do.
A person, not me, a person catches the narcissist red-handed.
Someone I know,
someone
who's
I know,
not me,
catches the narcissist red-handed, stealing, cheating, whatever it is, lying, catches them red-handed. Why are they able to skew our vision, even though it's like the phone is right here. I can see that you've cheated with somebody, and somehow in a manipulation, in a talent, really, somehow the person feels like, maybe I'm the one who's too jealous. Maybe I'm the one who's too possessive. Maybe I'm overthinking this.
So let's start with the first thing first. What's happening with the codependent, and how do they get tricked? So I have a girlfriend, and I've caught her cheating, and I have the evidence. Like, I literally have the text on her phone. What is it in me that allows her to turn the situation around and get it to the point where I'm apologizing for looking in her phone rather than her apologizing for playing hide the sausage with another gentleman? And it's not her wizardry that lets her do that, because she's just not that powerful. This is another part of my own therapeutic process that I realized. They're just not that powerful. It's me. It's me. Who's tricking me? Me. Who's causing me to apologize? Me. It's coming, or if I say me even, maybe that's the displacement. It's my superego injunctions. They want me in this relationship. The command center I have, because of my childhood experiences, is a fucking train wreck, and it doesn't want a happy life for me. It wants me stuck in abusive relationships because my parents were hateful. They were hateful people. They shouldn't have had children. They wanted me to be at a certain level. And the idea, that I would raise higher than my father in life would have terrified him, would have destroyed him. Such was his narcissism. He was narcissistically envious of his own child. So instead of wanting me to do well, which is the natural order, he's in a demonic inverted state where he wants me to do very, very badly. So where's that coming from? The power of that is in me. There is no woman on earth, with respect to beautiful, intelligent, and wonderful women, who can make me go against my own value system. And there never has been, and there never will be. The only person who can make me go against my own value system is me, is my superego injunctions. They're not that smart. Think about the lies that it's not you. I know it's not you, but the person you know to whom this happened, the lies were really dumb. The cheating was really dumb. The con artistry wasn't clever, was it? It was retarded, but you fell for it. Or we're back to Jung. We live the experience of, oops, I fell for it. You didn't fall for anything. That's what's inside of you. And so that's what's created outside of you. That's one half of what's happening.
Are you telling me that the narcissist is not a monster, that they have not sharpened their knives for years and years on end, where yes, their lies are dumb, but they do have ways to slowly break you, whether it's in that conflict or whether it's the year leading up to it? I mean, first of all, finding you at a time, most likely narcissists go for people that are vulnerable, that are going,
Yes.
they're in a transition, that are in flux, that are post-breakup,
Yes.
they're moving, whatever it is, post-transition or in the middle of a transition. So of course they have chosen their target. Is this person a monster? Yes or no? Has he not groomed, prepared, and
Yes. If they're not monster, they're monstrous. I mean, look at how most people live. They're monstrous. There's tons of monsters out there. There's people who are unkind. There's people who are petty. There's people who are hyper competitive. The world isn't full of nice, good-willed people. They're out there, but I've not seen any evidence that they're the majority. Did you see the new Dracula movie where it's shot in Romania? It's Johnny Depp's daughter as the target, and Dracula is like a rotten mess. Have you seen that one? It was out last year. Okay. So Dracula is foul in this one. There was the one in the 90s with Gary Oldman, where when he was in his true form, he looked like an old lady with a bouffant white wig, and he was very old and withered and disgusting, but he could make himself look like an urbane Victorian gentleman about town, and he could make himself look pretty. So he was deceiving with looks and mind control. In this new one, he's just a rotten monster all the time. Like, he literally has rats living in his head. And this beautiful young woman still falls in love with him and becomes obsessed with him. Hold that thought there. You and I, and again, I just want to stress, I've known Naila for a few years. She's a friend of mine. This is not how I normally talk to people who interview me. We agreed to do a podcast at 11 o'clock my time today, and you booked a studio. If I said to you, no, that's not what we booked, it was 12, you might have feelings of stress and you might have annoyance, but you wouldn't be confused about whether it was 12 or 11. You wouldn't. Now let's do the thing that I can only do with you because we've been friends for a long time. If we were in a sexual relationship and you had fallen in love with me and we'd been together for a year and you were frightened that I would leave you and I had maximum power over you, and I said, Naila, I've told you, you're a terrible timekeeper. I did not say it was 11. I said it was 12. Sorry for people who found that triggering, but I'm making a point. I claim that you or I, were the roles reversed, would try and make it 12. We would try to make it 12. So the power isn't, so there's objectively, the power is like, it's not about objective reality then, is it? It's about internal reality. I want to make it 12 because I want to make Richard happy. But you have the texts that say 11. So you're like, well, it's without the sex and without the love, you'll go, it was 11. You must have CTE, or the cocaine has rotten your brain or something. This guy's a fucking idiot. Fine, whatever. But if we were together, you would be thinking, oh, maybe I fucked it up, or I got the time zones wrong. You would try and make 11, 12 for me, but strictly speaking, in terms of psychoanalytic theory, you're trying to make it 12 and make it your fault for the third entity, which is the relationship that we're in. Did all of that make sense?
It made total sense.
And they are monsters. I mean, from a legal point of view, an ethical point of view, if we're going to be objective philosophers, yes, obviously they're monstrous human beings. But then what I would push back against is the power. Just because they're a monster doesn't mean they're powerful. I don't care what poetry the creature sings to me. If a vampire with rats crawling out of her skull shows up at my window tonight, I'm not letting her in. Because, yeah, she's a monster, but she has no fucking power over me. Because there's nothing I want there. If I feel sorry for the monster, and I feel it's my job to, oh, the lonely monster, oh, she's so sad. Yes, it's the sad backstory. It's the pity. It's the empathy. But I didn't have to choose them. And another point I want to make now that we're here is other people don't choose them. So think about the people you're talking about in your experience. Other people think that they're utter idiots and they avoid them. They're just like, this person's an idiot. I'm not going to spend any time with them. Is that largely true?
It's very true. Yeah.
So then the point I'm kind of circling around is it's back to Jung. It must be us. It must be us. Everybody else could see that this girl's just not a nice person, just weird and confrontational and dramatic and makes up stories. And she always has new circles of friends and they last 6 months and then people get pissed off with her lies and they kick her out there, so on and so forth. So where's the power? Where's the power? We're experiencing it as external, but obviously it can't be. It's with it.
When somebody has done the shadow work, are they absolutely immune forever from any kind of manipulation or abuse from somebody who's maybe 55-year-old, very experienced manipulator, car salesman personality? I don't know if they get, you can't be absolutely immune to it, right?
I wish I could put a virtual reality simulator of my experience on your head so you could see the difference between me now and just 4 years ago when it comes to manipulation. I see it a mile off. I am not interested. I am not taking the bait. It ain't happening. I can just see when, like, I always start with the basics. I'll be like, okay, where's this person at? Are they unemployed? Are they, do they have friends? Do they have family? How do they talk about their family? How do they talk about their friends? Where are they coming from? And the first sign I get of like a baity sob story or game playing or manipulation, I'm out. I just bounce. And there's no, as a much more codependent person, I'd be like, I mustn't say no. She'll be hurt. And
I mustn't be judgmental. Everybody's gone through their stuff, and yeah.
Well, that was a problem for me. Like, with the background in psychology, is seeing everybody as a wounded child, and it's just a completely inappropriate way to run adult relationships.
That actually is one of the downsides of therapy. I think starting therapy, the first thing was I was working on my relationship with my mother, and the biggest thing we worked on was to try to give compassion, empathy, and meet her as little her inner child. Do these EMDR experiences, go in hypnotherapy and imagine myself, holding her hand as a child, to have compassion for her. So that was about 2 years of work, where then whenever I started to meet people, I would instantly start to, at first I'd be very curious about their childhood and what's happened. And if they want to share and overshare and tell me about their trauma, I'm like, I'm listening because I'm compassionate. I hear you. I know, I've done this. I know that things could have been hard and I can relate to you or whatever. So I've learned to be compassionate with people's inner child. And I learned that lingo. And then whenever I would meet somebody who would use that as a way to maybe make me like them or whatever, it just kind of has a little victim story so that I can go, aw, and feel for them, then it was just kind of like the perfect bait.
No, that's your therapist was retarded, and the therapy they gave you was retarding, as in retardé from French. It would hold you back. That's untherapy. She was doing damage or he was doing damage rather than giving you therapy.
I then put myself in a seat where I'm just empathizing. Is there downsides to therapy? Or
there's something wrong with therapy. There's something wrong with psychotherapeutic culture. Very wrong. Deeply, deeply wrong. It's sick. It's a sick discipline. And I got a good therapist who works for me. He's like a working class guy from inner city London. His dad was a bit of a gangster, and this guy grew up taking drugs and getting into fights. So he understands me and I understand him, and the therapy works well. Generally speaking, psychotherapeutic culture is not ideology free. It's massively infected with ideology, and there's loads of there's a good number of psychotherapists who are perfectly well aware of that. I can send you podcasts where there are psychotherapists talking about how essentially woke culture has massively infected psychotherapy, and psychotherapy has been an accelerant for woke culture similarly. So there's like this parasitic, negative, toxic, symbiotic relationship. In order to be woke in the new sense, not in the original Black American sense, which is that you're awake to systemic oppression, but modern white privileged college campus wokeness wouldn't exist without psychotherapeutic language. And so they feed each other. The notion of a safe space, the notion of the power of vulnerability, the notion of there being no moral judgment and everything is morally relativistic. This all comes from a long tradition of psychotherapy, and it's deranged. It's completely fucking retarded. It's deranged, and it makes people very, very sick. I may as well, in a psychological sense, I may as well take out a hammer and hit you in both ankles and then tell you to run a marathon, because I'm not preparing you for life. I'm not preparing you for life. It is not Naila's job to feel compassion for her mother primarily. Now, if you did 5 years of decent therapy, and I'm sat with you and I'm going, Naila, and you've got there, and your ego boundaries are strong, and you've got there, and I'm like, dude, I'm still getting a little bit of resentment for mum here, and this is cosmetic work. It's very superficial, but you want to do an exercise where we just take a look at your mum as a kid and go into that, so that you're not carrying the resentment, not for your mother. I don't give a fuck about your mother. I'm sorry, I don't. As my client, it's none of my business. But for you, Naila, should we do this work? Okay, 5 years of good therapy, your ego boundaries are strong, your head is screwed on, but I sense you're holding a little bit of resentment for mother. This is brush-up work. This is the final touches before I usher you out of my office and say, you don't need to pay me anymore, you're done. To do that primarily is sick. It's really, really damaging. That's not what you need. That's not the moral imperative in this situation. In fact, it would have been to do the opposite. Not compassion, but judgment. Did your mother do wrong? Oh, I mustn't say that. Is she here? Do you work for her? Are you going to send a recording of this to her? Oh. Okay, Naila, if your mother did that to someone else, what would you say? I'd say it was wrong. I'd say it was bad. Okay, so then if she does it to you, is it wrong? Yes. Oh, was your mother a bad mother? Oh, that's where you go first. You can't. This poor child that's operating inside of you had all of its systems smashed to pieces. I got to rebuild them. And we have to start with the capacity for moral judgment that says, yeah, my mum was a shit mum. She was a shit mother. She did a terrible fucking job. She's not qualified for it. If she went back in time to a period where she could become fertile again and then had other children, I'd be saying, please don't have other children. Just do something else with your time, because it's not for you. It's not for everybody, mum. It's not for everybody. Do something else. That's where I would take you, not for compassion for your mother, but an ability to actually morally condemn your mother's actions. That's what Naila needed in therapy session 1 to 20, because I think you were starting from a pretty smashed up place, and that's where we need to start from. If we can say, mother, you're wrong, internally, you don't have to do it in the real world, the internal mother, you're wrong, that's bad behavior, and I don't accept it. No, I'm not accepting that. I had to do this in therapy. It was fucking hard. It was terrifying. I was overwhelmed. It would make me feel sick. I'd feel nauseous doing it, but I did it. Once I can say no to mum and no to dad, Then when a manipulator comes up to me, because I lived with real monsters and I was a child, they really had power over me. And I really can say to both of them, fuck you, all the way inside your ass. Fuck you. I don't care. So now if somebody who's an adult is coming to me with their fucking bullshit, I'm like, piss off. You've got no chance. She should have, or he should have, the therapist should have taken you the other way first. But this is the perversion of modern psychotherapy. It's ideologically infected. And to be perfectly honest with you, like too many clinicians I've spoken to are they're too far back in their own therapeutic progress. They must be more advanced than they are. You've got people who are at a green belt or a blue belt level who really should only be black belts to do this kind of work.
We have to also have a signal to understand when you're meeting a shit therapist then.
So I recommend that you interview therapists. So you can go to your local therapy counsel or counselor's directory. You go through them, you choose your top 5, and then you email your top 5 and you just say to them, look, I really need to know that you understand the intricacies of narcissistic abuse and childhood trauma. Do you mind if we have a 10-minute Zoom call? You take a 10-minute Zoom call, and if you feel this is a person, if you want to have boundaries that you don't have, they need to have boundaries. No one can lead you to a place that they have not been to. And I speak to therapists all the time who are riddled with trauma. It's all over their face. They're dancing around their own shadow. They're prickly in their ego. They're, don't say that word. I'm like, what are you worried about words for, dude? You're a therapist. This is your job. If you're frightened of words, what are you going to do when somebody sits in front of you who's experienced severe childhood sexual trauma? You're going to shit yourself because you're scared of a word, so you're damn sure going to be scared of horrendous descriptions of childhood sexual trauma. The client's going to feel your fear, and you're going to damage them. You're going to damage them. So I think like the conversation around this whole topic, it really needs to open up, and we need to stop being so submissive to people's qualifications. I mean, a qualification, as long as you have an IQ over 115 and you're prepared to put in 5 or 6 years work, you can be a highly credentialed psychotherapist. It doesn't mean anything.
And also it's dire to understand your mindset when you're doing any kind of, even if you're not going to therapy and you're just reading tons of books and you're just over intellectualizing. I read this book called How We Love. And if I had read it in a time where I was in a relationship with a narcissist, then I read a book about how we love, and then I see that I'm avoidant, and then I believe him because, oh, wait, in this book, How We Love, it says that if my parents abandoned me, I became scared of pain and love, and then I keep people at a distance, and then I believe I'm an avoidant, and then the narcissist walks into my life or is in my life and says, you are such an avoidant, and then you've just read this book because you've not done any proper therapy yet, you're going to believe it. You were saying about attachment styles and sure, they're not permanent, and we just talked about that, but NPD is permanent, correct?
It's a personality disorder, not a style. So a style is just a mode of doing something in psychology. So people can have a narcissistic style. You can have avoidant attachment style. You can have a narcissistic interpersonal style without having narcissistic personality disorder.
So have you ever had a client that had NPD that did your course, did the shadow work, did the hard work, and then... What is the most common resistance you get from them? Do they fake it? Or do they just go no?
I don't think I've had somebody show up with full-blown NPD.
They just wouldn't show up.
Oh, no, I did once. God in heaven. So I was a coach. I'm not a clinician. When I was coaching, I would say that to people. I'd be like, it's life coaching. And really what I wanted to do is do life coaching that helped people to get over people pleaser syndrome. And then I just got tons of people who were somewhere on the spectrum for inverted narcissism, fragile narcissism, borderline, and so on. And one day I said, this is driving me mad because I'm telling people I can't work with you if you've been diagnosed with a PD. You shouldn't work with me if you've been institutionalized. if you've been on psychiatric medicine, or if you've been diagnosed with a serious mental health issue, you should speak to a clinician. And they just hand waved it. They went, yeah. They came anyway. People who've been on antipsychotic medication, people who, like, no one gave a shit about my boundaries back in the day because I was weak. So I started saying, okay, I'm going to vet you first. You can have a free 15-minute call and I'll let you know whether I can work with you or not. And a grandiose multi-millionaire, she was Russian but lived in America, narcissist, came on the call, and I twigged 5 minutes in, and I was like, because I was asking her a series of questions, and I was like, okay, just to see where the ego boundaries and the resistance were, and something triggered her, and she was like, I said, look, I don't think I'm a good match for you. I think you'd be better off speaking to a qualified clinician. And she started going nuts. She was like, but you say you are the best. You are the best. So coach me now. And I was like, it's just an interview session. It's not a coaching session. And I can't coach you. But you think you are so good, Mr. Life Coach. So coach me now. And I was like, I'm turning this call off now.
Bruised
Click.
ego. Yeah.
No. Yeah, I've never worked with somebody with MPD. I wouldn't work with somebody. I don't want to work with anybody who's on the spectrum for narcissism at all. I don't want them coming to my seminars. I don't want them reading my books. I don't want them anywhere near me.
No, because this is so dangerous. We don't want to give them more lingo and fuel and understanding, because then they know exactly how to manipulate even more. I'm curious what you asked this lady. Do you remember what you asked her that completely triggered her?
I'd come up with 7 questions. Some people had seen me on YouTube and they just wanted to chat to me. I needed specificity, like, can you specifically describe what your objectives are when you look for coaching with me? Another one was, can you tolerate negative feedback? Because I'm never going to bullshit you and I'm going to tell you the truth, even if I think it's going to hurt your feelings. That kind of thing, that if you are pathological, is just kryptonite. Oh, and I would also say at some point in the therapy, in the coaching sessions, we will be discussing the ways in which you are responsible for where you are at in life.
Responsibility.
And I found that, the responsibility one was a big trigger for people who are somewhere on the narcissism spectrum. They hate it. As soon as you take the locus of control, as soon as you ruin their perfect little story, which is, I am the pure and innocent victim of a narcissistic abuser, and that's it. And I don't want to hear anything else. A rigidity sets in because it's a narcissistic defense. They're like, that's my story. That's how I've built my self-image. And if I start saying, what if you have elements of codependency or a hyperactive fawn response, or in the Jungian sense, you're being possessed by your shadow and you're projecting it outwards, they flip out. They flip out. They can't tolerate it. The other one was, can you be humble? I can't heal people who can't embrace humility. And I have video footage of a group of women getting together in a seminar, melting down over humility. Why should we deprecate ourselves? Why should we deprecate ourselves? I'm like, deprecate yourself? All I suggested was that you have a little humility. These are highly narcissistic defenses.
I wonder what this lady that came and talked to you, what was she trying to fix? Something happened then and there where she felt, I need to do something. What was it that she wanted to do?
To win.
Was she hoping that you're going to mirror and say that she's right, she's amazing, everybody else is wrong?
Typically. So when I used to coach and my boundaries were weaker, there was an awful lot of that going on. There was an awful lot of, and people would pay for this, which is crazy to me.
Validation.
Here's the story. Validation. We could just say validation. So just validate that I am the victim here. Tell me my ex-husband's an arsehole. Tell me my ex-wife's an arsehole. And then Richard Grannon, the Spartan life coach, as I used to call myself, he says my wife's an asshole. So it's definitely true.
This happened with an ex of mine where he was just, I don't know if he was lying, but he was just getting validation on all the horrible things that he was saying. Like, he was just like, well, my therapist said
lying.
this.
He was lying.
I think he was lying, but like, your therapist said what?
So he would have been lying, and then he would have been omitting parts of the story. I went through this with an ex of mine, and she'd come back and say, my therapist says this, my therapist says that. And then I'd say to her, listen, I'm not stupid. Did you tell your therapist this, and this? And she said, yeah. And I said, okay, did you leave out this, this, and this? And she went, yeah, of course I did. And I'm like, well, that's why the therapist is saying that to you, you fucking dummy. So I could work back from the therapist, some mediocre midwit therapist's advice. I could work out how my ex had manipulated the narrative to get that response back.
So tell me, shadow work. What is shadow work? I'm coming to you right now. I have been in a pattern of relationships where I have zero sense of self. I have been allowing myself to delude myself. I thought I did shadow work. If I was right now your client, what are you going to do to fix Naila?
It's a really, really good question. So one of the things that you don't want to do is look at how sad you are. And that's what I would do with you. We would find ways in a coaching setting, in a therapeutic setting, to deal with the reservoir of sadness that you carry inside of you. The reason being, and we're still in the realm of Jung here, but if you look at one of Jung's students, who's a very clever lady, Mary Louise von Franz, if there is a reservoir of unresolved emotion that we resist looking at, it keeps us young in a certain, but in a negative way. It keeps us immature. It keeps us immature because maturity can only happen when you metabolize experiences properly, and non-metabolization of painful experiences and the pain that goes with them keeps you stuck. So in a certain sense, I see, you've asked the question and we're doing this publicly, I see you as being stuck at a certain age. And I think it's getting on your nerves. I think it's making life frustrating for you. And I think that what's stopping you is primarily grief. There's other elements of the shadow that need to be integrated, but that's the big one.
I'm actually surprised by one thing, is because I didn't think that sadness can actually be something that creates more of a impressionable person. I thought it would create more of a resistance to everything and more of a push of like, fuck everyone.
If you'd felt it, but you're not, and you're pretty good at it.
What is the stages of like, okay, this person needs to deal with sadness? What do they do?
You would for sure cry, but we would have to, really the priority then is to access the emotion of the child part of you so that she can cry. Now, you can't just do that and open it. You have to then close it on the same day in the same experience. So the closing out of the ritual of the ceremony would have to be something along the lines of you regrounding yourself back in your adult ego state, and what do they call this? Potentializing yourself as the mother to yourself, as the mother to your child. And that's a big part of the work that you would have going forward. And I'm not making it purely personal to you, because a lot of people need to hear this. You would then have to start showing up as the adult to your child as baseline number one. Baseline number two is you have to start showing up as the adult that steps between the nasty superego and your child and says, hey, fuck off.
Wow, well, I've never done that.
No, you've never done that. And so the child doesn't feel protected. And so the superego attacks the child, the adult goes into freeze mode or just goes offline, and the child's just left with a monster, and then there's more sadness. And then that sadness is covered up by, we have to compensate by being more cheerful, by being more positive, whilst dragging around a reservoir of unresolved pain, which I just think is, well, it's unfair. It's not a very good way to live life. We're better off just releasing the reservoir. But then after you've released the reservoir, potentializing you as your own mother and the protector of your inner child. So that you're nurturing the inner child, that's baseline one, and that you're stopping the superego. It's very easy to stop the superego if you step in as Naila. You must step in as the you that is you, your adult self, and say, aha, I can hear a superego injunction. That's going to hurt my inner child. Fuck off. Shut up. Shut your fucking face. That's wrong. That's not true. Fuck off. Don't need anything from you. Don't listen to them. This is the truth. And then the child goes, oh, I'm not alone. I'm safe. Now, because I'm safe and protected, and I do that to protect my child, when people come to me and they say, do you want to play a creepy game with me, Richard, where you resolve my childhood trauma, I can just look at them and go, it sounds like you need a therapist. And I'm not afraid. The fear that I used to feel is not there, because I can protect. I have the potency to protect my child from my superego injunctions. So there's nothing to fear.
I have never made this realization until now. My mom made me as agreeable as possible because she wanted me to be an actress, and she wanted everyone to like me so I can make a lot of money and then be her ATM that she's always, believed that she's given birth to. So I had to be agreeable. And like now I'm realizing that I don't think I was ever naturally agreeable, because there's a part of me that says, fuck you, Richard. Not you. Other people. But, there's a part of me that's... the other Richard. There's a part of me that says, fuck you and get the fuck out. And that part of me actually leaves people. But then the other part comes in and goes, oh, why'd you do that? You're such a dick. Come on, give people chances. And then there's these two parts. And then this part, most of the time, wins, because this part on paper is the likable, nice person who's supporting everybody and being a good friend and being a good girlfriend and whatever. And it's like, what are we doing?
Yeah. That's a big part of the course that you referenced is recognizing these two different parts that are in a battle. So there's the authentic self is saying, fuck you, I don't want to do that, and fuck this guy, he's hot, but so what? There's loads of hot guys I can get, and you just wouldn't worry about it. But then there's the narcissistic shared fantasy cult self that was developed in childhood that's saying, no, you be a good girl and you go back to the person who was mean to you, just like you did for mother. He's playing the role of your mother now, and you fix what you broke. You fix what you broke, young lady. Go. And you're like, oh shit. And also then, and poor him. And then you play a video in your mind and he's sad and lost and broken without you. And, oh God, I've abandoned my child. I've abandoned my child. And then you just get back with him because fuck, it's easier than feeling all of these uncomfortable emotions. So the shadow work would be all of that. Who are these uncomfortable emotions? Where are they coming from? See, this is the good thing about working with an asshole like me, is you introject people who have strong personalities, and then you introject me. And then you have like a middle-aged angry scouser in your mind going, fuck this, we ain't doing this. Guilt and shame over what? Let him go and fucking sort his own life out. And then you have that and you're like, oh yeah, that crazy fucking angry middle-aged scouse guy, he's right. Fuck that guy, I'm not getting back with him. You introject. And that's what good therapy does. It allows you to introject a good therapist, but they can't lead you where they've not been. If they don't have strong boundaries and they're not potent, they can't make you potent.
Lovely. I love it. I'm excited to do your course. I'll put a link to it. I'm so excited that you joined me today. Every time I talk to you, I'm just like, I honestly need like a few hours just to process. And I love how much you don't give a fuck.
A lot of the stuff that we grow up thinking matters, you find out after time, it really does. It really doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We're not here on the earth for very long. And that you get a clearer sense with time and with experience of what's important, and other people's opinions are fairly low down on that hierarchy. If you have a problem with me, text me. If you don't have my number, you don't know me well enough to have a problem with me, fuck off.
I appreciate you so much, really.
Thank you for having me.
One day I'll come to you with an episode where I am a strong woman with high self-worth and only good stories.
I look forward to it.